Many have tried them, but only a few succeed. I'm talking about prop trading challenges. The industry success rate is only between 10 to 15%. But in this tech talk, we are taking on these odds and we are going to create a trading system that, if configured correctly, has the potential of beating these odds. Welcome, everyone. My name is Daniel Sinnick, and I will be your host. And I'm very excited today because we're going to present you something which we call the Conqueror, a project designed to beat prop trading auditions. And how this works and what this is all about, we're going to see in this tech talk. But as always, before we get started, let me get the legal things out of the way. When it comes to trading futures, forex, stocks, or other asset classes, keep in mind that this contains substantial risk and is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital or somebody else's capital in case of prop trading. And when it comes to hypothetical performance, keep in mind that the backtest results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. All right, so now this is out of the way. Let me quickly reintroduce our team. So as mentioned, my name is Daniel Sinnick, and I'm a managing partner at Trading Indicators, your favorite store for all your trading products that you will need. We have indicators, we have automated strategies, we have tools and dashboards and more. And today, in fact, we're going to use a whole bunch of these, of our products, to create the Conqueror trading system. I am joined today, as always, by my colleague, Homa. Homa is my business partner, and she's been on my side for many, many years, and I'm very happy she's always supporting our endeavors. So she'll be manning the chat along with Nicholas, who's the mastermind behind our Power Bundle indicators. He will also be in the chat today. And if you don't know what we're doing, as I mentioned, we are building trading tools, mostly trading indicators, but also fully automated strategies. We're building dashboards, we're building scanners, and so forth. And our tools are now used all around the world. We have retail clients, we have institutional clients, we have trading educators who are using our tools in the expectation to make better trading decisions using our tools. And this has always been our mission for everything we do, is that it must be something which will help you, the trader, make better decisions. So this is our premise behind our business. All right, so, but enough about ourselves. Let me quickly remind you that this webinar is recorded. So should you need to drop off, do not worry. It will be available on YouTube either tomorrow or the day after. And all our previous recordings of these tech talks and our other videos that we're creating, these are also available on our YouTube channel. It's quite easy to find. Go to our homepage, tradingindicators.com. In the top right corner, you'll see a YouTube icon. Click on it. This will bring you directly to our YouTube channel. And if you don't want to miss out, make sure to subscribe. All right, so what's new? What has happened in the last couple of weeks? A couple of announcements. We have just released, and the email will go out tomorrow. We have just released a new version of the Power Bundle AO and the Super Signals indicators for NinjaTrader. And the new feature that we have now integrated is called re-optimization. So optimization used to be triggered manually, or when the indicator was loaded first on the chart. And then if you wanted to optimize again, maybe if more bar data was available, you'd have to click the optimize button. This is no longer needed if re-optimization is enabled. Re-optimization will automatically, every 10, 20, or 30 bars that's configurable, it will automatically re-optimize the indicators based on the latest market data. And yeah, these versions will be available as of tomorrow morning. All right, so a bit of housekeeping, and now let's get into the topic at hand. And I should warn you, it is going to be quite heavy, but in a good way, I promise you. I was very happy with the outcome, very satisfied, and there's a bit of ramping up to do. But if you stay on until the end, I think you'll be happy too. And we also have a great offer, a great project offer for a limited number of users at the end of this tech talk. All right, so the Conqueror, beating prop trading auditions. Now, we've created this Conqueror project. It's really a project. It's not just one EA, one automatic strategy. It's a whole bunch of things that need to come together. So we've created the Conqueror project with the objective, of course, to create or build a trading system which has the potential to beat prop trading challenges. It's designed for this purpose. I consider this as an ongoing project. Just kicked it off, and I'm quite happy with where we are already, but it's ongoing because there's so much more we can do. And you will see what I mean by this in a bit. So I'm quite happy where we are, but there's so much more that still can be done. And of course, nothing comes for free. Like with everything in life, also using the Conqueror tools and our framework requires a disciplined approach. And you need to use it properly, and you need to put in the work to, come up with something that has the potential to beat these prop trading challenges. And it's going to be a team project. So I've done my part so far, but I'm really looking forward to input from 10 people out there who will be using this Conqueror project. And if you stay until the end of this webinar, I will tell you how you can join it. And it's going to be a really good offer. All right, so this was a bit of a heads up. Now, let's talk about basics. So what are the basic, the basic framework for the Conqueror project? First thing, it's going to be fully automated. I mean, the trading will be fully automated. There won't be any manual trading. Everything, every single trading decision will be done by a robot, a trading robot. And in this phase, it's going to be an MT4 trading robot. So you don't have to worry about getting emotional. We're just going to configure the robot based on our rules. And then the hope is that, the robot will do all the trades and it will eventually pass the prop trading challenges. It's also going to be a portfolio trading system. What does that mean? It's quite simple. So we're not going to put all our eggs in one basket. Instead, we're going to run this robot on a whole bunch of symbols. Not just a single symbol, a whole set of symbols. Keyword diversification. Yeah, you don't want to put it all on one symbol. Maybe market conditions are not favorable for this particular symbol, and then everything will go downhill. We're not going to do this. We are going to apply this EA on a whole set of symbols. And how to choose these symbols, and how to choose the timeframes, and how to configure this EA, which I'm going to present to you, this will not be based on guesswork. It will be based on, in quotes, hard numbers. And how this works and what we need to do to get these hard numbers to make a truly informed decision about which symbols to trade, which timeframes to trade, which entry signals to use, well, this will be based on our analysis. And I believe by doing so, we are going to maximize our odds of successfully beating prop trading challenges. All right, so this was the basic framework. Now, what do we have? I'm going to show this to you all in a second. So we are going to use our top indicators for this project, which is the Power Bundle 360 indicator suite, consisting of 1 to 3 strike, divergence cloud, and volatility crusher. We'll discuss this in a second a bit more. The second thing is we already have a promising EA. EA stands for Expert Advisor, a robot, a trading robot. It's called the Conqueror, and it's built and it's tested. We are also going to use a whole bunch of tools. We're going to use our MT4 portfolio tester to automate our testing, because we need to do some testing to get our numbers, our hard numbers. And we're going to use Portfolio Architect to put individual test runs together to come up with a portfolio performance report, which we then can analyze to figure out, well, is this EA promising for this particular prop trading challenge or not? We also have a clear plan. And in fact, it's very systematic. A couple of steps to be followed sequentially, and you will get to your end goal. That's quite simple. All right, so this is where we stand. Now, a quick review of the Power Bundle 360, just in case you don't know what it is yet. I know that many users are here every second week, and they, of course, know what the Power Bundle 360 is. But if you don't know what it is yet, so the Power Bundle 360 is a suite of 3 intelligent indicators. And why 3? Because we designed them to be completely complementary and to trade different market conditions. We have one for trend trading, for the trending market, one for finding reversals and pullbacks, and one for trading the sideways markets and finding breakouts. So our trend trading indicator is called 1 to 3 strike. And the indicator will give you an entry signal when three things come together and a strong trend is confirmed. We need to have directionality. The price needs to move up or down in one direction for quite some time. We need to have an increase in volume and an increase in volatility. And if all three things come together, then an entry signal is generated. The second indicator in the bundle is divergence cloud, an indicator designed to identify or to predict pullbacks and reversals. And it does so by looking at divergence. And we have come up with a unique form of divergence, which we call volatility momentum divergence. And if this occurs, it can be either bullish or bearish divergence, a trading signal, entry signal is generated. That's the premise of this indicator. And lastly, we have volatility crusher, an indicator designed to detect strong breakouts. And to us, a strong breakout is a breakout which will last for quite some time after the breakout has occurred. And you can imagine how you as a trader can take advantage of that. You see the breakout, it's confirmed to be strong, then you would enter in the direction of the breakout in the expectation that price will continue to move in that direction for quite some time. All right, so these are all three indicators of the Power Bundle 360. And they used to be traded manually. So this was our, the indicators, they are meant to indicate something on the chart, but the trading decision was done by the trader. Now, what we've done for this project is we have created a fully automated strategy around our Power Bundle 360 indicator. And we call this fully automated strategy the Conqueror EA. And again, EA stands for Expert Advisor. For the time being, this EA is available for MT4. And it's designed in a very specific way. In fact, I should maybe tell you that the inspiration for this EA comes from Rob Booker. Maybe some of you have heard about him. He's quite known in the trading industry, and he used to be very well known in the FX, foreign exchange trading and automated trading. And he had this robot called the Finch. And I know Rob very well. I used to attend to his conference, and he's one of the reasons, actually you can see him here, and he's one of the reasons why I'm actually in this industry, because I really used to enjoy his conferences, his talks. He was always very entertaining. He had great content, and I met him many times. And in fact, I spoke also at his conferences at some point. And he had this robot called the Finch. And this robot was designed in a very strange way, but in a very successful way. And one key element of this EA was that it had no stop loss. And you probably will say, oh man, no stop loss? That's crazy. That's scary. Well, it can be if used incorrectly. But if used correctly, I'm going to use it correctly for this tech talk, it actually can be quite beneficial. And why that is, I will explain. Now, for our EA, the Conqueror EA, as I said, the inspiration comes from the Finch, but it's actually quite different now. The entry signals for trade entry, they come from our Power Bundle indicators. And you can choose, as the user of this EA, which entry signals you want to follow. Whether you want to follow the 1 to 3 strike, the trend trading signals, or perhaps divergence cloud signals, or perhaps volatility crusher signals. You can choose. So the EA is configurable in that way. The logic of the EA is that trades are only closed when in profit. That's our premise. There's no stop loss. We're not closing any trades unless they are in profit. The profit target is relatively small, or actually very small, and quite easy to reach. Okay, keep this in mind. And should a trade go against us, which can happen, of course, even if the profit target is very near, there's no guarantee it's going to be hit. Now, should this not work out, the EA will place what we call a second chance trade. Another trade in the same direction with a larger lot size in the hope to make up for the loss that the first trade occurred. So at this point, we have 2 trades open. And only if the combination of the 2 trades, the sum of these 2 trades, become profitable or hit the profit target, they will be closed. If not, they will just stay open. And you may now say, man, this is a recipe for disaster. What if things go really the opposite direction? There's no stop loss. Am I doomed? Good question. The answer is, it depends. It depends how you configure the indicator. Now, let me explain to you this in a second. I want to first demo it to you, and then I explain to you why you are not necessarily doomed if things really don't work out in the direction as planned. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my MT4. This is MT4, and I've already preloaded the Conqueror EA, as you can see here. Now, I'm going to use, just to start things off, I'm going to use this EA. I'm going to pick, pick Euro USD. 1 second. As you can see here, this is MT4, and this is the strategy tester, I should say, of MT4, which allows you to run a back test of the EA. Now, I'm just going to run it for now, and I'm going to explain to you then what you will see. And then I will explain how this EA actually works in particular. Okay, so I picked it. I'm just going to reset my settings to the defaults, which I've just done. I'm going to say OK, and I will click Start. Now, as soon as you click Start, let me just move this out of the way. You can follow along the trade performance of this EA. So eventually it's done, as you can see, and you can see, oh, doesn't look too shabby. All right, this was, maybe say, okay, maybe this is perhaps unlucky. We're going to see it on other symbols too. Okay, so here we have the performance. And if I look at my results, we can see every trade listed. We can see that the lot sizes are very small. I mean, there can't be any smaller than this. So 0.01 lot for mostly, and sometimes 0.03 lots. And remember when I said there's a second chance trade, this is this bigger trade here. This second chance trade will kick in if the first trade is not working out yet. Then the second chance trade will come in the same direction, yeah, in the hope that now in combination, both trades, the sum of both trades will become profitable. And we can see it here. Eventually they did. We closed out, let's say for this trade, this buy trade here, we closed out the first one at a loss of minus 5.22, but the second one, this one here, had a profit of 6.54. And in combination, the sum of the two is profitable. And this EA by default is configured to close out the trade if a profit of $1.30 is reached. Of course, these are all parameters that we can change. Now you may say, okay, $1.30, are you crazy? It's so low. Yes, it is purposefully chosen to be that low. Remember when I said things may not work out and a trade may completely go against us. But since our position size is so low, the effects of this are very much mitigated. And we are going to do one more thing to mitigate further the risk of a trade going completely against us. We are going to apply this EA not just to one symbol, but to a whole bucket of symbols. And then in combination, even if the trades for one symbol go against us or completely against us, the expectation is that in combination, the other symbols will make up for that. And this is how this trading system will work. Okay, now real quick, let me explain to you the parameters of this EA. And I'm going to go through all of them, just a few key ones. So if you want to see the parameters, you go to Expert Properties on the right-hand side. And this will open up a box. Let me just move this zoom thing out of the way. There we go. And as you can see, man, there are many parameters here. Don't be scared. Most of these are for configuring the underlying indicators. So we have, if you know the Power Bundle 360, you know that they all come with parameters. And most of these ones are just to configure the underlying indicators. But for a trading perspective, what's most important is that you as the trader can choose which indicator sequence to follow. We have, of course, all three available. Either you want to follow the sequence of 1 to 3 strike, or perhaps divergence cloud, or perhaps volatility crusher. By default, it's going to be divergence cloud, and just run the default settings. for this EA. Why this one? It's because it was the first one I started out with and I experimented with this EA. And I liked the results, so I kept it as the default. But there's no other reason for it. It works with all three entry systems. Second parameter is magic number. This is needed should you have multiple EAs running on the same symbol. And the magic number is an identifier so that the trades don't conflict of these different EAs. Max spread is a setting to avoid trades when the spread is very high. Now, first trade lot size and second trade lot size. These are important. Here you can configure how big your first trade will be and how big your second chance trade will be. Remember, the second chance trade is the trade where you're trying to make up for potential loss or drawdown of the first trade. Okay. Min pips to trade 2. Second chance trade. You don't want these two trades to be triggered too near to each other. This typically does not work out because market conditions are not really different. And if we're in a downtrend, at one moment, chances are 10 bars later, perhaps, or if the market hasn't moved much, we're still in that same downtrend. So you don't want this. This is why we have this min pips to trade 2. It is the min distance, or basically the min drawdown of the first trade before the second trade can kick in. Again, I can explain all this in a follow-up webinar. Let's not worry too much about it at this point. Profit target in dollars. This is when we want to book profit and when we are closing out our trade. And it is important to remember, it's the combination of the first trade and the second trade which must reach this profit target. Oftentimes, if I go back to my trade list, oops. All right. If I go back to my trade list, you can see here we hit our profit target with the first trade right away. Here we had a sell trade, so you can see it hit the target of 130 right away. Here was this buy trade here did not make it right away, and we needed a second trade. But in combination, both hit the profit target. Here again, our first trade hit the target. Here again, the first trade hit the target. You can see this by all these 130s here. That means the first trade hit the target. And if I go down here, every once in a while, you'll see that we require 2 trades to make this profit target. All right. So I hope this gives you a bit of an intuition of how this EA works. Let me just quickly also show you that this EA actually works on most symbols quite nicely. So let me maybe switch over to my settings here, and I will load up, let's say, which one can we pick? USD CAD. I'm going to run it. Now, I always like to follow along here by clicking on this graph tab, and you can see as the trade will run that also for this symbol, it looks really, really promising. Over time, you can see many trades are being taken. Eventually it stopped and began quite promising. It also works on non-FX symbols. So MT4 supports, of course, FX. That's how they started off, but they also support CFDs. And most prop trading challenges will allow you to trade these CFDs as well. And if you, for example, want to run, let's say, this EA on the SPX 500 CFD, we can do this too. So I would just simply pick it here, SP 500. We can find it. It's up here. Yeah. And one thing to remember here is to always use realistic spread settings. So I'm going to use spread of 40 because we don't want to have, back test results which are unrealistic because we're using very small spreads while the actual spread is not like this. And if I do this, I also need to update my max spread in here. Maybe do something higher, say 200, actually maybe 250. I'll explain in a second why that is. I click OK, and one more thing. These CFDs, they cannot be traded in fractional lot sizes. So 0.01 is not possible, so you need to use full values here, say 1 and 3, or let's say 1 and 5. Yeah. So this is the first trade, lot size of 1, second trade, lot size of 5. Click OK, and we click Start. And you can see now that, again, if you follow along, it will also work quite nicely on these symbols. Again, it doesn't have to be like this. There are some symbols where it doesn't work at all, but most symbols it actually works quite nicely. And with the MT4 strategy tester, you can, of course, test for that. Okay, so This was a quick overview of the EA which we have programmed, but this is not enough. Even though this looks really nice, there are things that we still need to do to have a realistic chance of making it through the prop trading challenge.
Daniel,
All right.
before you do that, I have a question here from Chris. He wants to know, and his question is, don't most prop challenges require a stop loss?
No. I don't think so. They all have criteria where you need to, you cannot have a drawdown beyond a certain limit, for example. But whether you need to place a stop loss, that's not true. Actually, in fact, I ran this EA, this EA on a prop trading challenge just recently for the trading pit, and it worked. Was accepted, no problem. And I think most prop trading firms do not require that a stop loss needs to be placed.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's go back to my slides and let's talk a little bit about how we are going to conquer this. You already saw that we have an EA, and I picked some very nice symbols that worked really nice, but there's no guarantee the EA will always work. So we still need to put some measures, some controls in to make up for the fact that what if things go against us? Now, as mentioned before, we do not have a stop loss. So how do we mitigate this? Well, with two things. We're going to do minimal position sizing. As you see, very small position sizes. We are going to do our profits with volume, many trades, but small trades. And this makes sense, I guess, because we have no stop loss. So if things go against us, at least it's a very small trade. The more trades, the better it is. Okay. And secondly, we are going to apply this EA on a whole bucket of symbols. Not just one, but a whole bucket. Again, if one symbol is not working out, the hope is that all the other ones are working better and they're making up for that one symbol, which is not working out. Now, how do we find out which symbols to choose? Well, this requires some analysis. We're going to do a portfolio analysis because we're interested of what is the portfolio performance of running this EA on a whole bucket of symbols. And the objective is to determine which symbols to trade, which time frames to trade. And I should mention, I just applied this EA on the 1 minute time frame. So the demo you saw was for the 1 minute time frame. We also need to determine the position size to be used for the first trade and for the second trade, and which parameters to use. All right, so this is going to be our objective to find out through a thorough analysis without second guessing. All right, now, real quick, running as an individual back test will give you the performance for an individual symbol. But this is not what we're doing here. We want to find out what is the portfolio performance, what is the combined performance of all the trades and all the symbols run together concurrently. This is not possible with the MT4 strategy tester because it only allows you to execute one individual back test on a single symbol. You cannot run it across multiple symbols to see what is the portfolio effect. That's not possible. Luckily, we have created a set of tools, and if you're with us for longer, you know this already. We have created some tools which will allow you to still conduct a portfolio test using MT4. So, and these tools are, first of all, the MT4 Portfolio Tester, a tool designed to batch automate all these individual test runs. Once they've been run, we're going to use another tool called Portfolio Architect to combine the results of the individual runs so that we can look at the portfolio performance. And then we're going to do some Excel magic to actually find out whether the portfolio test would have passed the challenge or not. And don't worry, you will not need to do this yourself. I have created an Excel template for you. You just have to copy and paste it in. It's very simple. So don't be scared by this. So real quick on these tools. So the MT4 Portfolio Tester is a tool designed to batch automate individual back tests. So you don't have to do it manually. You may think, oh, okay, maybe I can do it manually. Yes, you could, but it's extremely tedious because you have to, first of all, configure your test, pick the symbol, start the test, wait until it's done, then choose the next symbol, wait until it's done, and so forth. And if you want to make a change or try out something new, you have to repeat the entire thing manually again. It's very tedious. This is why we have created the MT4 Portfolio Tester, a tool designed to automate these tests. And all you need to do is to basically click together the symbols that you want to run your test on. You pick the EA, you pick the configuration of the EA, and you pick the timeframes you want to run it on. Then you click Run, and it will do it all for you. It will batch automate all these tests. So what I do, I typically do this overnight. I'm using a lot of symbols and a lot of timeframes and a really long period typically. I click Start. It will run for a couple of hours. But when I wake up in the morning, it's all done without me having to manually interfere. So this is a big convenience. Okay, so we're going to use this tool to batch automate our individual tests. Now, once you've done this, we are going to use a second tool called Portfolio Architect to combine all these individual tests. And it's very convenient because this tool can read in MT4 HTML reports, which is the output format of an MT4 backtest. And once done, the tool will export. First of all, you can see all the analysis in the tool, but you can also export all these trades of the portfolio to Excel. We're going to use this to come up with our final verdict, whether this portfolio test would have passed the challenge or not.
One of our users wants to know, how do you ensure the drawdown is not exceeded?
Through testing. So we need to find the right configuration of the EA. And in fact, this is the whole objective of this exercise, is to find out how can we figure out what this configuration is. So what is the lot size, for example, for each EA to be used, so that we do not exceed the drawdown limits, yet we'll make it to our profit target. So this will be the final verdict, and we're gonna look into this together now. Let's be very concrete, and let's look at a sample challenge. And I've taken this from the Trading Pit, which is an up-and-coming prop trading firm, and they have a challenge which looks like this. On the demo account, you start off with a balance of 10,000. Your profit target is $1,000, 10% of that. You have 30 days to achieve this profit target. The max daily drawdown is at 3% or $300. So if you in a single day lose more than $300, we're in trouble. And the max trailing drawdown is 10%. All right, so this is the sample challenge. Now, I have to say something. There's a small problem. The MT4 report does not report on unrealized balances. It will only give you a trade report, once the trade is closed. But you do not know how much the unrealized drawdown was for that particular trade. But that's a big problem, because since we're not using a stop loss, some trades, they will last for a very long time. So it may take a long time till this trade recovers. They may last for, I don't know, a week or maybe even longer. And we have no idea what this drawdown would be, because MT4 does not report on that. Seems like a hard problem to have, and it is, because there's nothing we can do. Even with our portfolio analysis, we would not be able to figure out what that drawdown is, because it is not reported. What MT4 reports or uses for its reporting is the realized trade reporting. It's this blue line here, and you can see here, it seems to be going up quite nicely, because trades eventually closed out in profit. But while that trade was open, it is possible that this trade was in the minus by quite a lot. So you can see here, the green line, that's the unrealized P&L. And likely, a drawdown like this would violate the drawdown conditions of the challenge. So what do we do now? If we can't measure this green line, we only have the blue line, how can we figure out what's the configuration? for our EA. That's a hard problem. Luckily, there will be a workaround, which I'll explain in a second. Just real quick, realized drawdown is calculated based on realized P&L. And there are very few challenges out there which actually only consider realized drawdown. You can find them. Unrealized drawdown is calculated based on unrealized P&L, which is this green line here. That's your drawdown. Most challenges are based on that green line, on the unrealized drawdown. So we need to find a way to somehow figure out what this unrealized drawdown is. How can we do it? Well, we had to be clever. And what we've done, or what I've done, is I have found out a way to approximate the unrealized drawdown. And I'm doing this by basically forcing MT4 to report at least once a day what is that drawdown. And I'm doing this by having a feature, a mode enabled in the EA to close out all the trades at the end of the trading day and then reopen it right after. So basically closing it out and then reopen it right after, 1 second later. And the reason why we're doing this, because this will give MT4 the information to calculate the drawdown, because the trade was closed. Even though we didn't really want to close it, because it was probably in minus. We don't want to close it. We want to wait until it's positive. But what this feature will do is it will force close the trade. So MT4 has now the data to report on the drawdown and reopen it right after again. This is a feature only to be used for back testing purposes. For live trading, you would never do that because you would incur the trading costs of all these trades. But for back testing purposes, for our analysis, this feature is very helpful. Let me quickly show you how this works. Well, I'm going to run it again just one more time with the standard configuration. And as you know, the performance was very good. Yet we don't know what was the unrealized drawdown somewhere in the middle. MT4 does not report on that. We have no idea. Now, back to the settings, I'm going to enable this feature, end of day closeout. It's this one here, to be used for back testing only. I'm going to say true. And what happens now is I'm going to rerun this test. It will be rerun. And you can see the line looks a bit different, yet the performance in the end is almost the same. We have our line here. We're still profitable. But if you look at the results, what we can see now here is, for example, that this initial sell trade was closed out at the end of the day with a loss. But immediately after, we reopened it again. Okay, and then eventually was closed out with a $3.93 profit. And in combination again, this gave us our profit target of 130. And this workaround we'll be using to calculate the unrealized drawdown because we're force closing every trade at the end of the day. It's an approximation, yeah, but at least it's something. It's better than nothing. And again, if you can use it for our analysis to come up with more accurate statistics, we should use it this way.
Daniel.
All right. Yes.
Can I interrupt with a couple questions quick?
Go for it. Yeah.
So we have a question from Frank. Is there a difference between the portfolio tester's abilities when comparing MT4 and MT5? Does it act differently?
The portfolio tester is used to batch automate these test runs. And they're basically identical in terms of functionality between MT4 and MT5.
Okay, great. And Benjamin wants to know, is he correct in thinking that this, I suppose the EA, is great for compounding?
Perhaps. I never tried. This is a live project. Right now, we're using the same position size for every trade. But perhaps compounding could be used, even though for most challenges, I would not recommend it because they all have a static daily drawdown limit. So even if your balance goes up, you still cannot exceed this daily limit. So increasing your position size with your balance may be counterproductive for this.
Okay. And we have a user asking, the majority of prop firms don't allow you to keep trades on the weekend, and this system can be open during the weekend. So how do you manage that with this EA?
We could use that feature to close trades. First of all, this is for the challenge, and I think for the challenge, trades can open over the weekend because it's a demo account. There are no most firms don't have any limitations on that. And this EA is designed for passing that challenge. But if you want to close out the trade at the weekend, or you have to, then you can use the same technique. You close it out on Friday and reopen the same trade when the market is back up on Sunday night.
Perfect. And last question. This presentation is for MT4. Is there any alternative, I suppose, with regards to trading prop firm challenges for Motive Wave?
Oh, for Motive Wave, it's not in the planning. Our next step will be for MT5, but not currently for Motive Wave.
Okay, that's all.
Great. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to add something about that. At the end, Daniel's going to briefly mention the trading pit, and we're excited to actually say that trading pit is now available for Motive Wave, just as a heads up to that user.
Great. All right. Okay, so now let's go back to our challenge. I'm going to remind you of what these challenge parameters were. So starting balance of 10,000, our profit target 1,000, 10%, max daily drawdown 300. So on any given day, you cannot draw down more than $300. You cannot be down $300, regardless of what your account size is. Even if you grow to say 10,800, you can only lose $300 a day. That's what that means. Max trading drawdown is 10%. This again is depending on your current equity. So if you had $10,000, it would be exactly $1,000 what you can draw down. If you had, let's say, 11,000 for some reason, then it would be $1,100 because it's 10% of the current equity. This is how most of these drawdowns are defined. Challenge duration is 30 days and min trading days 10. All right, so now let's try to beat this challenge systematically with all these steps which I have mentioned. So I'm going to go back to MT4, and what we're going to do is we're going to run a portfolio test on 4 symbols. Why 4? Because we have only limited time in this webinar, so I don't want to make this too long. And we're going to run it for exactly 1 month, from February 6th to March 8th. This is basically 30 days. This is the duration of the challenge. Okay, and let's see if we can pass the challenge using this EA, if there's a chance at least. So what I will be doing is, first of all, I will be using our first tool, which is the MT4 Portfolio Tester. You can see it here, and I've configured it already. So it's set up to work with this MT4 installation. Our start and end date are exactly what I just said, from February 6th until March 8th. We're going to use the Conqueror EA. Now this one here, so you can see I have many EAs, but we're going to use the Conqueror EA. And we're going to use the preset setting number 1, config 1. And if you're wondering how to get this one, it's quite easy. You go to your expert properties, you can pick the settings that you want, and you save them. And what I did is I prepared this beforehand. So I'm going to use the Conqueror config setting number 1. As you can see, we have 0.01 lots for the first trade, and for the second trade, 0.05 lots. And we're using end of day closeout because we need this realistic drawdown statistics. Okay, so that's going to be our configuration, and we are going to run this portfolio test on exactly 4 symbols on GBP USD, Euro USD, USD CAD, and USD CHF on the 1 minute time frame. And the way this works is I'm going to close, first of all, MT4, because that's a requirement to run this portfolio test. And I configured it. Now I click Run Test. And what this tool will do, it will run the back test on all these 4 symbols, one after the other. Okay, so this will take a little while, I think around 1 minute. And once done, we can go to the next step, which is combining the individual trade reports into a portfolio report. But let's just wait a little bit while this is done. We can follow along here. Our first trade just finished, took 20 seconds, and we can see some statistics about that back test. 38 trades were taken, a small profit was generated for that one. Now the second test, and bear with me, this will only take a couple of seconds to complete. So you can see here, the tool will do everything automatically. This test now also complete. And once done, the report will be written back to our portfolio tester. And while this is running, Nicholas, Homer, are there any questions?
Actually, we have a few exciting questions. I'm really happy that people are very excited about this topic today. So we do have a couple of users that want to know if and when the EA can be used for NinjaTrader 8.
Yeah, I don't know yet. We don't have a plan for this. This is our release for MT4. Our next target will be MT5, but yeah, if it's a popular product, we definitely will be looking at porting it to NinjaTrader 8 as well. Absolutely. But we do not, unfortunately, have a timeline for that at this moment.
Perfect. But like Daniel said, because we always love hearing feedback from our users, if there are enough people that are interested in NT, please feel free to email us and we'll get something going with that. I think, Nikolai, did you have a question that you wanted answered live?
Oh, it's fine. I think the portfolio test completed. So good timing, Homer. We can look at Nicholas' questions maybe a bit later. Okay. So we can see now here that all 4 tests are run. You can see the individual statistics about these tests, but we can also see an overall performance. Now, what I'm going to do next is I will be importing these test runs into our second tool, which is called Portfolio Architect. And both these tools, they're actually connected. They can interface with each other. And we have a function here called Export to Portfolio Architect, which will be available if that tool is installed, of course. So I'm going to click on it. It will then open up our Portfolio Architect tool. And here we can see the portfolio performance of running the EA on all 4 symbols. All right, so what we see here is, first of all, we only made $59. As you can see it here, this was the overall portfolio performance. And I can tell you right off the bat, had we run this EA on these 4 symbols, we will never pass this challenge. There's simply not enough trades to be taken with this profit target to reach that. Would you agree? It's fairly obvious. I don't even have to do any Excel analysis. It is clear just by looking at this. We will not make it to our profit target. So that's takeaway number 1. So this configuration does not show promise. But luckily, there are things we can do to increase our chances. And if our profit is not big enough, well, maybe we should increase our lot size, our trade size, to see if we can boost this profit to be closer to our target. Okay, and then let's look at some of the other statistics. Here we can see our overall drawdown only at 0.83%. That's very low, so no problem there. Daily drawdown we cannot see here because this is something we need to analyze in Excel separately. But let's not do this because, as you can see here, this configuration does not show promise to begin with. So no need to go further to an analysis in Excel. We simply will never make our $1,000 with this configuration. All right, so let's go back to the drawing board and let's change our parameters of the EA just a little bit. As we could see, we were nowhere near to make it to our $1,000 profit target. We only made $59, so we're really far away. So let's increase our position size. Okay, so the way to do this is to go to the expert properties. Okay, and we're going to increase the first lot trade size and the second lot trade size. Okay, that's obvious, but we must also increase our profit target because if you're trading bigger, our target should be bigger too. It shouldn't stay at $1.3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load a second configuration of this EA, which I had prepared before. And as you can see now here, we are trading now 0.1 lots for the first trade and 0.5 lots for the second trade. And the profit target now is $13 per trade. All right. So let's run this test, see if we have more success. So I'm going to close MT4 one more time. And I'm going to open up our portfolio tester. And in this case, I will open up our second configuration, Conqueror Config 2. This is how I named it. And I simply rerun the test. So click Run Test. And now the same thing will start over again. We again have to wait 1 minute now for it to complete. And then we can look at the results. While this is running, Nicholas or Homer, any questions?
Daniel, there are some questions. So one question we have is, have you considered overnight swap fees if you're swing trading?
No, I would consider them if they were reported by MT4. Unfortunately, they are not reported. So since they're not reported, we cannot consider them in our analysis. But what we could do, and I will show you the Excel template in a bit, we can emulate these perhaps in there to take these swap fees into account.
Great. And another question, how can you manage the drawdown if the EA keeps opening trades and the accumulated drawdown might hit the 3% maximum?
Yeah, this is exactly the analysis we're doing right now to see if the accumulated drawdown would hit it or not. And we can repeat this exercise maybe in different configurations. And if they all repeatedly show promising results, I think this is quite confident. It would give me some confidence that this EA has a chance to pass the prop trading challenge. Of course, there's no guarantee. You can never fully expect what the market will do. If by chance every single trade is going negative at the same time, well, that might not be ideal for passing that challenge. It can happen, but by doing this analysis, at least we're minimizing the chances that this will be the case.
Great.
All right, so we're almost done. Last symbol to be run, and then we're going to look at the results. All right, so this will complete. It's finished. We have now our report, and we can see that at the end of the test, we made $590. Doesn't sound too promising, but let's keep an open mind. So I'm going to open this again up in our portfolio architect tool, which will now import all these individual test runs and will show us the performance. All we can see here is that, again, at the end of the test, we only made $590. But what about the in-between? Maybe at some point while the test was running, maybe on day 20, maybe we were higher up. So let's have a look. Let's investigate this a little bit. So what I will now do is I will use the export function of this tool and simply click here on these three little dots. I go to export to CSV. I'm going to export the entire trade list to CSV, which can then be opened in Excel. I'm going to call this Conqueror config2, because that's what we ran. Save. All right. It's now saved. I will now open it up. Let me just quickly find it. If I can find it, Conqueror config2. Perfect. So what you will now see is an Excel file where you see every individual trade listed across all these four symbols we're running the EA on. You see exactly when they occurred. They're ordered sequentially by their entry time. And you can see the all kinds of statistics. What was the profit? What was commissions or swap? And again, MT4, these cannot be exported. But when it comes to MT5, these values will be available. You can see our equity of the account in general and so forth. Sounds a bit dry, I agree. But now I'm going to cut and paste a template into this Excel file, which will give you further analysis. So let me just go there. I'm going to highlight all these. Copy it. This is a different template. Go back to this Excel sheet, paste it in, and now we have all these additional data here. And let me just quickly show you one column here. Is equity on the right. This is our overall equity. And remember, we had a profit target of 1,000. So let's see if at some point in that challenge, we actually made it to that target. So what I can do, I can simply scroll down. You can see, okay, equity is building up, so things are looking promising. And voila, here, at this point here, we hit our target. And I've done some cell highlighting here. You can see everything that's green is above our target. So here we briefly hit it intraday. At the end of the day, it was slightly below again. But then here we consistently exceed our profit target of 11,000. And we can say for sure at this point, we would have passed the challenge. Why is that? Because also our drawdown limits are within the limit. And you can see this because there's nothing red in here. If you see anything highlighted in red, it means we violated something. So if I go all the way down, you can see here at this point, all the way in the end, I know what happened on that day. We did exceed our daily drawdown limit. It's red. But it didn't matter anymore because we had already hit our target. At this time here, here or here, this challenge is over. We successfully passed it because it matters at this time. What are the conditions? What was our max daily limit that we had? It was 138 across all the days. That was the worst that we had. And our drawdown, the worst up until this point, was 2.14, also well below the 10%. Okay, we could have even traded a higher position size and still respected these limits, because our daily drawdown was 300. If you remember the challenge criteria, let me quickly go back here. You can see it here. It was 300, so we are only halfway there, and our max trading drawdown was 10%. But at the time we hit this goal, we only had a drawdown of 138 for the day, max day, and a trading drawdown of 2.14. You can see this all in this Excel file. So in conclusion, this configuration would have passed this particular challenge. Because we hit our profit target, we respected our drawdown limits, and of course, we also made it in time. So this happened on March, which day was it? Let me just quickly see. On March 1st, so we still had 8 days left in our challenge, no problem there. So we didn't exceed the 30 days time limit. And also we had at least, how many trading days? I forgot, 10 trading days I put in the challenge. Yeah, 10 trading days. We can see this easily by looking at, let me just quickly switch on filters here. If you know Excel, that's a very handy tool, filter. And I go to my trade day here, and we can see all the days that we had at least one trade open. And you can see here easily, these are more than 10. Yeah, almost every day, actually basically every day, except for the weekend, a trade was open. All right, so this configuration would have passed this particular challenge. I believe using a systematic approach will help you find out what is the right configuration. We have seen, for example, that the first configuration we have used on those 4 symbols had no chance of reaching the challenge goal. The challenge goal. Our position size was simply too small. We only made $50. So then we revised our configuration, we increased our position size, and that way we gave this challenge a chance to be completed. It was impossible before. We figured this out through an analysis with all the tools that we had, and we revised it, and now we have a configuration which at least has a chance to pass the challenge. Now, we have a special offer for you. And this offer is to be part of this Conqueror project. And it will be restricted to only 10 users, because I expect this project to be to evolve over time, new features to be added to the EA, perhaps to the Excel file and to other things. Yeah, there will be a lot of back and forth with these users in that project or project members. So I have to restrict it to 10. It's also a really great offer, because you will get, for a limited time and only for the first 10 users, the EA I just introduced. You will also get our full Power Bundle 360 for MT4, consisting of 1-3 strike, divergence cloud, volatility crusher, and also the IET statistics, something I didn't even talk about today. So you get all this. You will also get our MT4 portfolio tester, the tool I have used to batch automate all these back tests. You will also get the portfolio architect, which you will need to combine all these trade performances, including the export function to Excel. And you will get the Excel template, which will allow you to do the analysis I've just shown you, to see if the profit target was hit while respecting our drawdown limits. And one thing I forgot to mention, this template can be configured for any kind of challenge. So you can configure your starting account balance, your profit target, the drawdown limits, and so forth. So there are parameters for that. So if you want to take advantage of this, simply go to tradingindicators.com/VIP. This is really restricted to the first 10 users. You get full access to everything. You will get full access to us also for your feedback. We're going to listen to you. You can share your findings with other members, with me, and vice versa. Basically, you'll be part of a club if you take advantage of this package. Individually, all these things would cost $2,199, but for these first 10 users, we're going to offer it at $9.97. This is for life. There won't be any follow-up payments. Okay. And if you are interested in finding a fair challenge, I recommend to look at the trading pit. And there's a special going on. The trading pit was the topic of our last Tech Talk. And we do have a special offer here as well. And you will get 20% off any challenge of the trading pit. And in addition, you will also get our trend radar indicator completely for free, which typically retails at $197. All you need to do is to go to this page, tradingindicators.com/prop, and at checkout, enter PIT 2023, which will give you the 20% off, and you will also be given the trend radar indicator. I recommend it. All right, so I think this is a good time to see if there are any questions.
Yes. So Daniel, is it possible to trade and manage the EA manually?
You can switch off the EA at any time, so the EA does not need to run. Actually, this brings back a good point. So the EA is written in a way that it will be able to pick up even if it was shut down. Okay, so let's say your server goes down, or you have to reboot it, or for whatever reason you lose internet connectivity, the EA will be able to pick up where it left off. So that's one thing. You can always switch it off at any time, so you don't have to run it. You have full control over it. You can stop it, you can reconfigure it, you can restart it during a challenge. There's no restriction there. And the third thing is, if you run this EA, make sure you use a VPS, basically, which guarantees that the EA is always online. It's not just on your laptop, which can go offline sometimes if you travel. Rent a server, they're quite affordable, and run the EA on that server.
Thank you. And how many trades are usually open in the EA? Is it considered high frequency trading or martingale?
Neither. So trades open, it depends what the market is doing. I've seen the EA trade for the same symbol up to like 3-4 trades on the 1-minute chart per day on the same symbol. It depends how often the entry criteria are fulfilled for divergence, cloud, volatility, crusher, and so forth, and how fast trades are closed. If we hit a great winning streak and hit our profit target in rapid succession for the same symbol, then it can even be more trades. And that's a good thing. The more trades the EA opens, the more money we'll be printing. Because remember, the EA will only close a trade when it's in profit. If it's a losing trade, it will stay open. So if you have many open trades, it means many of them reached the target.
So when trades double up, how did the first trade close at a loss without a stop loss?
Oh, the EA will close it. So the EA will look at the combined performance of these two trades. And if the combined performance hits the profit target, the EA will close those trades.
Great. And when you're backtesting the EA, Mark wants to know, is it backtested with every tick, the slow calculation, or is it based on the OHLC? Can you also do it with OHLC?
You could, but I would always recommend every tick. I mean, we're going through all this length to get an accurate portfolio analysis. So why, make that change? So always every tick I would recommend. And the test you've seen here was run with the every tick setting.
Okay. And in the EA, is there a configuration to set a different starting balance with different lot sizes?
Starting balance doesn't matter. In fact, this can be set in MT4, but it's not really important for our analysis because we're only looking at the individual trade P&L that we have. And then we use this individual P&Ls with the balance that we want to use. And in fact, in the Excel sheet, let me just quickly go, where was it here? You in fact can set your balance. It's right here. So these are global parameters. You can set, it's a bit hard to read, your starting balance to, it's hard to read, to 10,000.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Or whatever you want to use. Mm-hmm.
And another question from John. Or wait, sorry, we have one here from, the question got deleted, but is a common question. Do you plan to create this EA for NinjaTrader 8? I'm sorry if you've already answered this.
Yeah, it's currently not in the pipeline. Our next project will be MT5 for various reasons. First of all, MT5 has a more accurate back tester than MT4. And secondly, in MT5, you get more accurate historical data, and also for a longer time. If you want to run this test maybe on 90 days on the 1 minute chart, you'll have a hard time getting this historical data on MT4. Only some brokers will offer it. But for MT5, most brokers, they will go back for several years, even on the 1 minute time frame.
Great. And are the power bundle indicators automatically optimized in the EA? I answered that no, because the power bundle indicators are not yet with auto optimization in MT4, but that is coming soon. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, it's on our to-do list. It will depend a little bit if it's possible with MT4. The platform is quite old. It's been out there probably for 20 years. So the technology they use is also a bit outdated. So we have to see if the auto optimization feature will be possible. If it is, then for sure we will update our power bundle indicators accordingly.
Great. And is there any way to actually add a stop loss, to force a stop loss with this EA?
No, currently not. But again, if you become a member, we can try out all these features. I know that back in the day when Rob Booker, again, the inspiration comes from the Finch, he was trying out different things as well, including a stop loss, but oftentimes it was not beneficial. But yeah, we can always try.
Great. And are there anything, any blockades for using this live?
No. You can use it on a live account. In fact, I had, back in the day when I was following Rob Booker, written a similar EA, and I ran this one live on, I think, 15 symbols for quite some time, quite successfully. Yeah. So yeah, there's no blockage whatsoever. This can be traded live.
Great. And another question, Daniel, if you don't mind, is the EA locked to one account? Can multiple accounts use it concurrently?
As long as the accounts belong to you, there's no problem. So let's say you sign up for 10 different challenges, you can use the same EA with no extra charge on all these different challenge accounts.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Homer, are there any questions on your side?
Yes, I'm busy typing away. Just as a clarification, Kimberly brought this up, and a couple of other users that are trying to purchase the VIP package. It is actually, the name has changed on the Gumroad page. It does say Challenger EA. This will be updated right after the webinar. It is the correct product. So it has been changed to Conqueror EA. So don't worry about that. It is the right product.
Yes, there was a debate which name would be better. And we decided on Conqueror on short notice. I guess the page was not updated yet. But don't worry, it's the same product.
I'm just going through some of these questions. Joe wants to know, what about the max contract size for the challenges? For some of them, you can have 3 to 5 contracts on at a time.
Yeah, but I think this will not be an issue with this particular EA because it's designed to trade small sizes, but have more trades. So we trade smaller, but we have more frequent trades. So it's very unlikely going to hit those max sizes with this particular approach. I would not worry about it.
Is there any pair that perform better using this strategy? And is there a particular time frame that performs better?
I like to run it on the 1 minute time frame because we need to generate enough trades to pass the challenge. I don't want to have a position size that's too big in the end. So the 1 minute time frame will generate more trades. And for that reason, I prefer it. Which symbol to use, you need to try it out. So it depends on your configuration. And in fact, we only use the divergence cloud entry signals for this demo. I didn't even look at 1, 2, 3 strike signals we'll be doing or volatility crusher. And all these can be also configured differently. So it really depends on how you configure it. Luckily, you can now test it for our setup. You can find out which symbols work best and then just move forward from that analysis.
We have a question here about from a user that's bought the 360 bundle already, and they want to know how they can build the EA using MT4 to test it.
Yeah. For those
Mhm.
users, please send us an email afterwards, and we will work out something. Because if you already have purchased the Power Bundle 360, we can work something out. Just send us an email, and we can treat this on an individual basis.
Okay, thanks. There's a couple of other questions that I am going to answer on chat, so maybe we can keep the Zoom call open for a few more minutes.
Sounds good. Great. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed your journey through our Conqueror project. I was very happy with the results when I looked at it. So it's definitely something that has sparked my keen interest, and I'm looking forward to advancing this project further. It would be a pleasure to have 10 of you on board as well. All right, so this concludes this webinar. I wish you all a nice evening and hopefully see you next time in 2 weeks again. Bye-bye.